In today's video, we'll be seeing the most unusual and shocking sights that were found in one of the most vibrant and festive locations in the world, Mexico. Number 10. Rotunda by the Sea. Just along the seaside of Puerto Vallarta are glistening statues arranged in a circle entitled La Rotunda del Mar. From far away, they may look like your ordinary art installation. It's when you get closer that the more surreal and nightmarish they can become. These 8 bronze statues are positioned at varying distances around an elevated stone circle, and with closer inspection have individual seats as if representing thrones. Each one is adorned with unique imaginary and petrifying monster-like accents, all supported by legs with claw-like feet. Self-taught Guadalajaran sculptor Alejandro Colunga unveiled this surprising installation way back in the 90s, fondly designing them with Lovecraftian influence. He created these chairs to be interactive art that instills curiosity on the viewer. And as you can see from the many golden patches all over the statues, it's clear where a lot of these curious visitors have left their marks. Number 9. La Coloradas. What appears to be a massive pool of strawberry juice is a hidden corner of the northeastern Yucatan Peninsula known as Las Coloradas, a mesmerizing landscape of a cotton candy-colored lake under pastel blue skies. This lake looks straight out of a children's fairy tale, is also a UNESCO-protected biosphere that homes various exotic and endangered animals. So, what's the deal with the pink lakes, I'm sure you're asking? Well, if you've ever seen a flamingo, the answer to why they have pink feathers surprisingly matches this lake. Flamingos have a diet that focuses on shrimp and algae, giving their naturally white feathers a deep pink dye. With the water environment around Las Coloradas being extremely salty, it naturally attracted various shrimp, plankton, and red-colored algae. As water evaporates from the bright Mexican sun, the concentration of these organisms results into the incredible pink-colored water that we see now. You aren't going to find a lot of busy activity and adventure in this part of Mexico, but a romantic sunset against this dreamy and picturesque location offers both tranquility and a sense of calm to every onlooker. Number 8. Museo Subaquático de Arte. The Cancun Underwater Museum of Art, as it's actually translated, is exactly as it's named. Opened over a decade ago, this museum boasts over 500 sculptures, most of which were created by the sculptor Jason de Carres Taylor. However, rather than just making a museum underwater for tourism and giggles, they came up with this idea with a mission in mind. As coral reefs around the world continue to die, creating these marine-friendly sculptures will save organisms and promote coral life. For the first gallery, as it's not deep enough for scuba diving enthusiasts, snorkeling is a better option that can be educational to both adults and children. For those not confident enough to venture into the deep, glass-bottom boats are another way to view these works of art. Many of these sculptures hold themes ranging from surrealism amidst life to the evolution of capitalism. Statues are sometimes grouped, whether meditating or seemingly dancing with the waves. But aside from the statues themselves, the algae and seaweed that have taken hold on all of them adds another layer of wonder as nature takes back all that is man-made. Number 7. La Pasaculita. We've all seen lifelike sculptures and mannequins, but we can always distinguish real from fake. But this one mannequin in Chihuahua, Mexico is so lifelike that the locals believe it to be a well-preserved corpse of a young lady who died before her wedding day. Dressed in bridal wear, La Pasaculita has been exhibited in front of a storefront window for over 90 years. She made her first appearance in March of 1930 and immediately struck the locals with concern and fear. La Pasaculita apparently had a very uncanny resemblance to the daughter of the owner, who, at the time, had recently passed away. On closer inspection, La Pasaculita's skin and hands were extremely realistic. Even varicose vein and fingerprints were well defined, and her hair strands unlike any synthetic wig. Eerily enough, her skin has discolored over the decades, and the cuticles dried and drawn back from the nail beds much like the hands of an actual corpse. You know, I'm starting to think it's just an actual corpse. It may be improbable that a mannequin that has sat on a shop window for 80+ years could be in better condition than other preserved corpses like public figures like Lenin, but even some experts are not completely sure whether La Pasaculita truly is a mannequin or a mummy. Either way, it's definitely creepy. Number 6. Island of Dolls. If you have a thing for dolls, you might want to think twice after hearing the words Island of the Dolls. Rather than it being a theme park of beautiful dolls sprawled around with vibrant colors, this famous island found in the canals of Mexico City is home to hundreds of terrifying dolls adorning all its trees and structures. Don't be surprised if you only see a limb, a head, and an eye dangling around as you walk by. Isla de la Munacos is a small island dedicated to the soul of a young girl who met her demise under strange circumstances around the waters of this island. Local legends say that the young girl was found drowned by the island's caretaker, Don Julian Santana Barrera. Shortly after he found the girl, he stumbled upon a doll floating near the area he had found her. As a way of showing respect to the young girl's spirit, Julian picked up the doll and hung it to a tree. Julian felt as though the spirit of the child continued to haunt him for failing to save her, and the only way to appease her was to continue hanging dolls around the entire island. Close ones to Julian described him as if he was being compelled by an unforeseen force. After 5 decades of collecting dolls, Julian was found drowned in the same spot where he said he found the young girl. Now, whether or not Julian has finally found rest or has joined the younger girl on this island will continue to leave a mark on the unknown. Number 5. The Cave of Crystals. Deep within the mountains of Nesa, Mexico, again I'm pretty sure I butchered that, miners came across an unexpected sight. These massive, luminous crystals towered over them, nearly 12 meters long and 1 meter wide each, and are anchored against the walls and floor of the cavern. Nestled almost 300 meters underground, this discovery enticed the world and everybody asked the same question. How did this happen? This cave of crystals was formed 7 million years ago as magma pushed forward into the earth to form the mountain in Nesa. And as mineral-rich underground water was pushed into the gaps and caves inside the mountain, these giant gypsum crystals were born. Although bearing such a breathtaking sight, don't start packing your bags. This crystalline wonder of the world is not one for tourists to visit, as it's a whopping 136 degrees Fahrenheit or 56 degrees Celsius with intense humidity levels inside of this mountain. Scientists and visitors who lingered here for too long risk having the fluid in their lungs condense, which can be a little fatal. Number 4. Jacuzzi of Despair. Beneath the oceanic depths of the Gulf of Mexico is a deadly lake known as the Jacuzzi of Despair. And if it wasn't clear enough, this mysterious location is not a vacation spot. The picture of luxury and relaxation, jacuzzis provide a warm, bubbly, and tranquil experience. But if you swap out the refreshing steam for bubbles full of methane and swap clear hot water with thick, briny liquid, welcome to the Jacuzzi of Despair. It's a toxic pocket of seawater that is known to kill anything that swims into it. The liquid found here is hardly what we associate water with. This underwater environment is 5 times saltier than the surrounding seawater. On top of that, with the extreme density, it makes it impossible to mix with normal seawater. The salt density, methane gas, and hydrogen sulfide create one hell of a cauldron of poison. Millions of years ago, the Gulf of Mexico was a lot shallower than we see today. As shallow water continuously evaporated, massive layers of salt were left behind, creating this thick sheet of sediments. As the ocean grew deeper, the pressure underwater cracked through the salty sediments and created this super concentrated brine that might just pickle you to death. Who knew that salt could be this threatening? Number 3. The Museum of Death. Most people who first learned about the National Museum of Death would associate it to be gloomy and somewhat scary. Strangely enough, though, many visitors to this museum, located in the city of Aguascalientes, Mexico, describe the experience to be interestingly surprising. Mexico is well known for its Day of the Dead celebration that is vibrant and joyous as they celebrate life and death, which is already very different to how most countries celebrate their dearly parted beloveds. Mexican culture, both ancient and contemporary, depict the cycles of life and death in very positive iconography, and this museum brings about just that while housing extensive collections of death-related artifacts. Over the years, the exhibits have organized into thematic displays that further provide insight with Mexico's strange relationship with death. Even when you're not here to learn about history, there's so much to enjoy in this museum, ranging from beaded skulls, papier-mâché sculptures, and various skeletons wearing large grins. Rather than a gloomy and grisly affair, the museum provides an ambiance as if constantly trying to suppress a chuckle. Number 2. The Eye of Fire. The Gulf of Mexico erupted into flames and created what is widely known as the Eye of Fire. It might look like special effects, but in July of 2021, the ocean was in fact on fire, as many things were in 2021. An underwater pipeline broke and gas leaked into the waters, causing bright flames to boil up into the surface. A lightning storm was brewing during that day, and heavy rain affected some of the pipeline equipment. And at the same time as this, the gas leak had already been detected. As gas rose to the surface, electrical shocks from the storm caused it to break into intense fire. It took several hours to extinguish the flames, but the video of the incident incredibly spread across the world. Luckily, the eye has finally closed, and repair efforts have been made to the pipeline. But who are we to say that no more crazy things could happen in this world? Number 1. Aztec Tower of Human Skulls. A busy and vibrant place such as Mexico City is the last place where one would think to be able to find a tower of human skulls. That's right, a structure made out of over 600 human skulls made into what archaeologists believe to be a tower that once stood in the Aztec capital. These skulls were stacked atop one another and mortared together to form the tower, which was something Hernan Cortes, a Spanish conquistador, once described in 1521 when the Spanish conquistadors razed the ancient city to the ground. Studies into the history of the Mesoamericans show that displaying the severed heads of captured warriors was a common practice in the city. However, recent discoveries showed more skulls, including ones of children and women, were a part of the massive tower. This baffled archaeologists and anthropologists alike, as there must have been happenings that were unrecorded. Although it's unclear that this massive tower made up of headed people was for, there can only be speculation at this point. See you guys next time.